Hey, skill setters, this is Mitch Messer with Home Pride Properties coming to you from sprawling metropolis that is Clovis, New Mexico. It's about 24 minutes to 1 on the 17th. Is that right? 16th of July, Thursday. And I want to talk a little bit here in this video about a couple things. I'm going to talk primarily about joint venturing, which is just a fancy way of saying partnering up with other investors so that both of you can get paid on the work that you collectively do. But I also wanted to explain exactly what I mean when I tell people I work, and you can't see my air quotes because my camera is still kaput, but when I work on BiggerPockets, I use BiggerPockets as a vehicle for working. It's not entertainment for me. It's what I do, and I want to show you exactly what I mean when I say that. So, in order to do that, I'm going to walk you through what accessing BiggerPockets looks like for me when I'm in work mode. So, let's establish up front a couple things. For now, just play along with me. I'm going to, it is true, I am looking right now for subject to deals. Subject to is an investing strategy that involves, the full name is buying something subject to the existing mortgage. This is not going to be a tutorial on how to do that, but I do want you to understand that my objective, I'll state it right now, is I'd like to be involved in more subject to deals. I'd like to find more subject to deals that I can get into. And so what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is going to be informed by that decision. So I'm going into this with that as my intended objective, to do more subject to deals. So this is the BiggerPockets website. I'm on my homepage. From here, I'm going to do something that I teach people to do when they're using BiggerPockets, and they've taken my BiggerPockets Badass course, which is to spend some time looking at the unloved children of BiggerPockets forum posts, namely unanswered discussions. So what you saw me do is click on forums. That brought me to this page. I've got the option of under newest posts, either clicking newest posts or unanswered discussions. I want unanswered discussions. I want the discussions that don't have 300 people responding to it. I want the ones that no one is looking at, because there's no competition to work with those folks. No one else is paying them any attention. And for the record, if you scroll down to the bottom, I think I counted there are about 20 of these posts per page. There's nearly there's more than 3,500 pages. These pages go back to like 3 or 4 years, I think, is when I looked at it last. So there are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of unanswered discussions. People post it and they got nothing. Now, realistically speaking, a lot of these folks are going to get a response. And the minute they get one person posting, they leave this list and go someplace else. But until they do, I've got them pretty much all to myself, because most people don't come here. And I don't know why, but they don't. So until they do, I am here. Now, all of you know that even though I'm living in Clovis, New Mexico, I still do a lot of investing in Atlanta. So this very first post here from Riaz, I can't pronounce his last name, a newbie from the Atlanta area, is going to guarantee that I click it, because I'm just curious to see what they're up to and what they're doing. Okay, it's too new. They haven't been approved yet, so that's why nothing is showing here. I should have known better, but fine. So let's go back to where we were before. Let's scroll down. So I'm just going to scroll down. This is a live page in real time. So this is what we got. So I'm just reading these. House hacking, BRR. And I looked at this about 15, 20 minutes ago. Let's see if it's still here. And it may not be, because some of me have answered the question by now. But let's see what we got. Okay, so nothing here. Well, this leveraging agents to find partners, that's something that I've done before. So I'm curious just to see what they're asking. Okay, it's a fair question. Not exactly what I want to get into answering. She's really talking to other agents. I'm not an agent, so I'm going to leave that for someone else to answer. Let's move on. So I'm scrolling down this list. Remember, I'm looking for subject to opportunities. So I don't see anything on the first page. Let's go to the second page. Okay, so, so I'm scrolling down the second page, and this is what I saw before. This is about 2 hours old. This New to Foreclosures in Illinois by Donnie Trinidad. Let's click on that. And I'll leave it up on the screen so that you can see it, but I'll summarize it for you. It's an investor in Illinois who is got a question about a property that's scheduled for a foreclosure auction. He's asking a hypothetical, but I'm assuming there's a reason for him asking this. And he's pretty much asking what questions should he ask when he's got a situation where someone's scheduled for foreclosure. Well, what I know, what he may not know, is that foreclosures, or pre-foreclosures actually, are a perfect opportunity to potentially get subject to deals. So this is a situation where even though he didn't ask for subject to, there was no subject to in the headline, what he's basically talking about is opportunities. He's asking, can you buy the property before it goes to auction? And my answer would be yes, if you buy it subject to, because you can buy subject to in like a week. And theoretically, you can buy subject to with no cash invested. So this is a situation where I want to talk to Donnie Trinidad. Now, I can do this a couple of ways. I can respond to his post, and you know how that works. If you use BiggerPockets, you go down here. I'd say hi, and then I'd say @ question mark, and you can't see it, but up would pop his handle. I'd click on that. It would pre-populate his handle so that now he can see that I'm talking to him, and then I would say something. This is one way to do it. This is not the way that I do it any longer, because I found this way to be slow. And what I typically do these days is I go right to the point. I click on his handle here in the post, and then I go connect. And I'll actually do this in his case. I'm going to spare you me having to hunt and peck. So I'm going to pause this once I've hit the connect button. But if you hit connect, it says I've sent him an invitation, which is cool. And I'm going to click this to add a message to my invite. You see up there where it says add a message? I'm going to click that because he doesn't know me from Adam. And in order for him to care who I am, I should tell him why I'm reaching out to him. So it gives you an opportunity to send a note with your request. And I'm going to do that. But I'm going to pause so that you don't have to see me typing with my two good fingers. And then I'll come back when it's done. Okay, I'm back. So I've typed out a message to Donnie. It's pretty straightforward. Hi, Donnie. I see that you're looking at pre-foreclosures in Illinois. I've done these types of deals in Georgia for over 20 years. Perhaps I can help you move forward with these deals in your market. What's a good number to reach you? Cheers, Mitch. Pretty straightforward. If I weren't an expert in pre-foreclosure, instead of saying I've done these deals for 20 years, I would say I'm looking at pre-foreclosures in the Georgia market. Perhaps we can compare notes. What's a good number for you? So you don't have to be an expert in a particular topic to connect with someone. They've got an interest, you've got an interest, there's some overlap. And if I get nothing from him, then no harm done. But if he responds back with his phone number, then I'm going to call him and we're going to have a brief conversation and I'll see what he's doing and see if there's an opportunity for us to work together. If I'm just trying to identify people who are looking at deals the kind of which, the likes of which I would love to be involved in, this is how you do that. And it costs me nothing. I've never met Donnie, I've never spoken to him, but it costs me nothing. And I realize that BiggerPockets limits how many requests you can have outstanding at any given time, but I'm pretty sure it lets you do at least a couple. And so if you did a couple of these every time you got on, then, and I'm just sending the request now, then eventually you're going to get someone that responds because it costs him nothing. If he could use some help, there's really no reason for him not to respond to me. So I'm going back. So that was this new foreclosures in Illinois. And you'll notice because I didn't respond to the post, it's still going to show up in the unanswered discussions because I didn't leave a response. So it's going to still show up here because no one has responded yet. So if I want to come back to it later, I may be able to find it. Now, if I really cared, I could find every person I've reached out to, and I can track them. But that was one, and I'm just going to move on. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit further and see what else we got. So again, it's almost 1 o'clock here in Mountain, so that means it's almost 3 o'clock Eastern. And some of these have been sitting for 2 hours without anyone responding. And I realize that everybody is not available during the day like I am to do this, but that's my point, is this. This is what I do. It's not all I do, but it is what I do. And if I did nothing but look for people on BiggerPockets who had deals, I mean, you're not always going to find people who say subject to in the description. Sometimes you will. And there was one earlier. I'm trying to see if they're still up. Yep, here we go. So I found a potential subject to seeking experienced partner, Houston. So of course I'm going to click on that. And Glenn Lee, only a few weeks into his real estate journey, still drinking from a water hose. I understand how that feels. He found what may be a potential subject to and is looking to join with an experienced partner that can work through this with me. Properties in Houston. First, let me say, I don't care where the property is. Subject to is subject to. There's some minor variations that you need to be aware of, but the concept of subject to is independent of the state. So, and I do deals in Texas, so I have no problem with working in Houston. So, of course, I'm going to respond to this. In fact, I've already done this one. So, in his case, I already did earlier today. Clicked this just like I did before, connected with him, and I'm willing to bet, I'm not going to show his number, so I'm not going to click on my notes to see if he's responded, but it's possible that he's already responded back to me with his phone number. And if he has, I'm going to give him a call, and I'm going to get to work. I've now got a phone number from someone who's looking to do a subject to deal. I'm going to get on the phone, and we're going to talk. And if I weren't an expert, but I knew enough to ask, how far has he gotten, and what's he looking at, and how much progress he's making, then at least I'm in the middle of a deal. And for a lot of you who are just trying to get some traction, talking to a real live counterpart who's got a real live deal, maybe it's not a good deal, who knows, but at least he's got something. And if you've got nothing and he's got something, then the two of you together can tackle this thing. I'm not asking him right now for a penny. He's not paying me a dime. I'm not paying him a dime. We're just two people talking about a prospective deal. But he's got the magic word subject to in here, so I'm going to want to hear what he has to say. And he's probably going to want to hear what I have to say. So the point that I'm making here is, A, these leads are all over BiggerPockets. Again, I've been logged in for the last 2 hours, and I found 3 of these, actually. I'm just going to show 2 in the interest of time. But they're there, and they're there all the time. And in this case, this guy has had this post out for 2 hours. 3 hours ago is when he posted it, and still no one's responded. So he's not getting bombarded with people who are saying, hey, I want to help you with your deal. So when I contact him, he'll probably want to reach out to me. But it's not because I'm an expert. He doesn't know how expert I am. Just because I say it doesn't mean that I am. There's no downside for him to reach out to me, and there's no downside for me to reach out to him. If it turns out he doesn't really have a deal, I've spent, a minute, 2 minutes on the phone, and then I've made another contact. I'll say, hey, Glenn, if you ever find any great deals that look like this and this, give me a call and let's talk about them. And then off I go to the next BiggerPockets unanswered discussion. So when I talk about getting on BiggerPockets and doing work, this is what I'm talking about. I'm looking at deals that I can work my way into, people that I can help who have deals that they can't tackle or that they don't want to tackle by themselves. And there's an opportunity for us to take down a deal together. And at some point in a future call, we'll talk about exactly how to structure a joint venture deal. But the way a joint venture starts is you reaching out to somebody who's doing something like what you want to do and offering to add value, offering to help them analyze the deal, or helping them talk to prospective sellers, or helping them to pull the title. All the skills that I'm trying to teach in this Facebook group are the kinds of things that you can now offer when you're talking to other investors who may not have those skills, who may love to have somebody else help them by doing the things that you now know how to do, or that you'll learn how to do. So that is, for today at least, what I wanted to talk about when I talk about working in BiggerPockets. That's the working. This is not entertainment for me. I'm not just looking at posts and chuckling about how fun this is. I'm looking for people that I can work with. I'm looking for folks who have deals or who are trying to get deals that I can work with so that we can take down those deals together. And eventually, if I could, let's just fast forward. Let's say Glenn Lee does have an actual killer deal and he doesn't know how to get into it. And I talked to him, and in 5 to 10 minutes, I figured out, gosh, he really does have a great deal. I'll suggest to him, how about we partner? How about we JV on this deal? And the way I like to structure JVs is 50-50. If he's got the deal, or if he's got the beginnings of a deal, I've got buyers for subject to deals. And so in some cases, I may be a buyer for a subject to deal. So if he can help us get the deal, because he's presumably in Houston, and I can find buyers in Clovis, New Mexico, we can joint venture on this deal, both get paid, and I can still be sitting in Clovis, New Mexico while that happens. So, and if I can do it in Clovis, New Mexico, you can do it wherever you are. And so this is what I say is the key to making this thing work for you. And that's why there's no excuse for you being, physically distant from where your market is. I'm not in Houston. I'm a good, 8 hours from Houston. I have no intention of driving to Houston to do this deal. I don't need to be in Houston. I just need to have him in Houston and me understand how to do subject to. And so hopefully this makes sense to you. Hopefully this will inspire you to get on BiggerPockets and look at the forum, not just as a place for entertaining yourself with questions and answers, but to look for people who have a need and try to fill that need in a way that benefits both you and them. And that's how you make money on BiggerPockets. Hopefully this helps. We'll talk soon.